Welcome back for another episode of the Sports Playbook, where I'll give you a breakdown of what's been happening in the world of sport over the last 7 days. You're joined by your host, D-Moz. This week was once again a big week in the world of sport, so you know the drill. Let's get right into it. In netball, the Lightning win in the Battle of Queensland. The Sunshine Coast Lightning won 64-50 against the Queensland Firebirds, handing the Firebirds their first loss of the season. The game was dubbed the Battle of the Bruce, and this is due to the Bruce Highway linking up the two teams. For Cara Cohen, the Lightning's goal shooter, it was the perfect way to celebrate her 100th National League game, as she is one of the club's foundation players. It was also Lightning's Mahalia Cassidy's 100th game too. Even Robert Irwin made a special appearance delivering the game ball prior to centre pass. He was cheering on the Sunshine Coast Lightning. In Melbourne, the West Coast Fever produced a dominant display against the Melbourne Vixens, winning 67-57. The Fever welcomed back goal shooter Janelle Fowler-Namard, shooting at 59 goals at 96% accuracy. In surfing, Aussie Surfing Stars take out the men's and the women's titles at Bells Beach. Jack Robinson took out the men's title at Bells Beach to ring that famous bell. The 2024 Paris silver medalist can add this win on top of his many other triumphs, including Pipeline and G-Land. In the women's, Queenslander Isabella Nichols took out the event in one of her biggest victories in her career to date. Nichols made her way back onto the circuit only this year. Nichols mentioned that it's been a 15-year process to get this victory. In the semi-finals, Nichols took down fellow Australian and two-time world champion Tyler Wright. In the NFL, the 2025 draft has been run. Held in Green Bay, Wisconsin, NFL fans from every team came to the draft with excitement and high hopes for the new season. Tennessee Titans picked quarterback Cameron Ward from Miami with the very first pick of the draft. There were 7 rounds of the draft with over 257 players drafted. An Australian was selected for the draft. His name was Jeremy Crayshaw. Jeremy is a 23-year-old residing from Emu Plains in Sydney originally, and he was selected as the 6th round pick 216 by the Denver Broncos. He was the first punter to be selected in the draft. If you didn't know, Sir Lewis Hamilton, who is a Ferrari F1 driver, has a minority ownership stake within the Denver Broncos. Jeremy is a punter. A punter's primary responsibility is to punt the ball as far downfield as possible to get their team field advantage. The NFL season will kick off on the 4th of September. In football, Liverpool win their 20th Premier League in style. They seal the deal, defeating Tottenham 5-1 on Sunday. The win ties them equal with their great rival, Manchester United, on 20 English Premier League titles. At their home ground of Anfield Stadium, they seal the deal, giving their coach Arne Slot a title in his first season in charge of the club. Slot is the first Dutch coach to win the Premier League. Liverpool celebrated their first title since 2020. Arsenal turned around to defeat Lyon and have entered the Champions League final. After a first leg deficit, Arsenal have gone on to defeat Lyon 4-1 in a second leg win in the Champions League semi-final, winning on aggregate 5-3. Aussie Caitlin Ford scored for Arsenal in the victory. In the other semi-final, Barcelona defeated Chelsea 4-1. This makes it 8-2 on aggregate victory. This sets up the final for Arsenal against Barcelona on May 24th in Lisbon. In cricket, 14-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi hits a century off just 35 balls. 9 days after becoming the youngest debutant in IPL history, The 14-year-old hit the second fastest century in the tournament's 18-year history. In front of the Rajasthan Royals home crowd, he hit an incredible 11 sixes and 7 boundaries. The Royals went on to win the match. It was only their third victory in 10 games to keep them in playoffs contention. The 14-year-old faced a formidable bowling attack that included Mohammad Siraj, Ishant Sharma, and Rashid Khan, to name a few. In rugby union, the Wallabies to name a new coach. As Joe Schmidt will be departing at the end of the Rugby Championship in October, the Wallabies will name a new coach. Les Kiss will be appointed as the new Wallabies coach. The current Queensland Reds coach will become the 5th coach in 6 years to hold this role. Kiss is a former rugby league winger. He played 100 games for the North Sydney Bears back in the 1980s and 1990s. He also represented Queensland in State of Origin and the Australian Kangaroos. In AFL, Collingwood win the Anzac Day clash. In front of a packed but rain-soaked crowd of 92,000, Pies brothers of Nick and Josh Dacos steered them on to a 41-point win over the Essendon Bombers. Nick Dacos captained with Darcy Moore out through injury. Nick became the youngest Pies skipper in 57 years. In other games during the round, Brisbane Lions returned back to their winning ways, defeating St Kilda 118-73. Carlton stunned the Geelong Cats to win 3 games on the trot, 94-76, leading from start to finish. The Hawks also finished on top against the West Coast Eagles, defeating them 124-74. At the end of round 7, Collingwood remained on top, followed by the Brisbane Lions, Gold Coast Suns, and Hawthorn in the top 4. In the NRL, on Anzac Day, the Roosters, Storm, and the Warriors get the chocolates. The Roosters defeat the Dragons 46-18, with Sandon Smith, the Roosters 5'8", playing in a man-of-the-match performance. The Storm defeated the Rabbitohs 24-16 in a close game that saw Latrell Mitchell sent to the sin bin for a high shot. Credit where credit's due, the Rabbitohs hung on in a tight game, but they just couldn't get the job done. The Warriors outclassed the Knights 26-12 in front of the New Zealand fans. But also in the round, the Broncos handed the Bulldogs their first loss of the season. The Broncos won 42-18 in front of their home fans. The West Tigers also won in a golden point thriller over the Sharks 20-18 thanks to a Adam Doueihi goal kick. But the main talking point of this round were the amount of sin bins that came from it. After 8 games of football, there were a total of 18 sin bins. It clearly all got too much for the 8th immortal, Andrew Johns, who reportedly left 20 minutes to go in the Tigers-Sharks game due to another sin bin. And with that, we will take a short break and get into your burning rubber breakdown. It's time for the burning rubber breakdown. Let's burn it up. In MotoGP, the Marquez brothers make history. For those that don't know what MotoGP is, it's motorsport, but just on bikes. 2 brothers race in the championship. Their names are Marc and Alex Marquez. Marc Marquez has won a total of 6 MotoGP championships for the Honda manufacturer, but he now races for Ducati. His brother Alex also races for Ducati, and on the weekend, he won his home race at the Spanish Grand Prix after Marc crashed out during the race. It's the first time 2 brothers have been winners at motorcycles' highest level. In IndyCar, Scott McLaughlin set the pace on the final day of the Indy 500 Open Test. McLaughlin, who drives for Team Penske, topped the timings at a pace of 232 miles per hour. To put that into perspective for kilometres, that is 374 kilometres an hour. That's right, that's faster than a Formula One car in a straight line. The Indy 500 will be held on Sunday, the 25th of May. Last year, it attracted a crowd of over 350,000. And that is your burning rubber breakdown for the week. And now, it's time for a fast fact for a pub chat. It's time to pull yourself a chair, pour yourself a drink. It is time for your fast fact for a pub chat. This week's fast fact will be centred around the AFL and one club in particular. Did you know that since joining the competition back in 2009, the Gold Coast Suns are the only current AFL team that are yet to play in the grand final? Will things change with Damien Hardwick steering the Gold Coast Suns crew? One to watch and wait. And now we've come to the final segment of today's podcast. It's 3 games I'm looking forward to this weekend. In the NRL, State of Origin is back along with Magic Round. That's right, it's that time of year again. The New South Wales Blues will take on the Queensland Maroons. The Women's State of Origin match will kick off Magic Round up at Suncorp Stadium in Queensland. For Queensland, they come into the series as back-to-back champions. For New South Wales, they have a new coach in NRLW Sydney Roosters coach Jonathan Strange. They also won the first game in 2024 at Suncorp Stadium, so they can go into the contest with confidence. The game will be held on Thursday the 1st of May, and the kickoff is at 7:45 p.m. Formula One is back with the Miami Grand Prix. For McLaren, they still have the outright fastest car, but will Red Bull and Mercedes be far behind them? Who knows? Oscar Piastri will go into the Miami Grand Prix with the lead in the Drivers' Championship. He will look to extend the gap from his teammate Lando Norris in the McLaren battle for number 1 driver. Will Max Verstappen show his pace and try and split the McLaren boys? Or will Lance Stroll show us why he is Aston Martin's lead driver? Oh, like I'm serious. The Miami Grand Prix will start on Monday the 5th of May at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. And finally, in the AFL, the Battle of Sydney is on. It's the Sydney Swans taking on the GWS Giants. For the men in orange, which is the Giants, they go into the match currently as favourites, sitting 6th on the ladder. For the Swans, they will look to gain confidence, sitting down in 14th place currently, knowing that the last time these two teams faced each other, the Swans got home in a thrilling qualifying final in 2024. Can Isaac Heaney soar to new heights, or will Toby Green's men get the job done? The game is on Sunday the 4th of May at the SCG from 1:10 p.m. And with that, we have come to the end of today's show. Thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on the next play.